What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning into the channel. I know it's the year 2017 here on YouTube, and you're probably wondering, yo, Hollow, where the fuck is the face cam? If this is the first video that you've ever watched in this channel from me, and you're probably asking yourself the same thing, all my videos are with face cams. It's just once in a blue moon I like to just run a regular raw commentary behind the mic, and I guess this is just one of those blue moon videos, right? Or days that I'm just doing this. I feel like this is my story, and I want you guys to hear me out. I feel like, to me, maybe because it's my story, it's a really inspiring and interesting story. I feel like everybody out there has a story to tell, and this is my story pertaining video games and Call of Duty. And the reason I'm doing this is not only to share my story so you guys can kind of understand a little bit more about me, where I come from, but maybe I can reach out to some of you guys. I know that nowadays, even with gaming being so much bigger than it used to be years ago, playing video games, playing Call of Duty, or just gaming in, general, could label you as a nerd. Your parents could tell you, get your ass off that chair, go do some outdoor activities, go do your homework, go get a fucking job, for God's sakes. Things like that. And for the most part, a lot of the times they are probably correct. But being a gamer and playing Call of Duty, or just playing games in general, doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna be a failure. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad or it's a bad thing, which is actually, that's the same shit. The beautiful thing about nowadays is that you could be successful doing almost anything. I'm also doing this story because hopefully I can inspire a handful of you guys, if not at least one person out there, who watches this video and listens to this commentary, kind of like slash story that I have to tell you. So I hope you guys hear me out. Feel free to let me know in the comments anything you want to share with me, or obviously the subscribers. First 3 hours, I refresh my comments a lot, and I read a lot of those comments. See, personally, I feel like Call of Duty changed my life. Now, obviously, with Call of Duty also, there is, my subscribers that support these videos, and of course, Rebecca, that's always pushed me so hard when it came to YouTube and succeeding in YouTube. So obviously, there's a bunch of other factors that come with all that. I'm going to be using some Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 1 gameplay simply because this is the time where it was the most crucial for me as a Call of Duty fan, where I was synced into Call of Duty the most, the games that I was literally in love with. So to begin this story, I'm going to take you back a little bit and then push you forward some years and then push you forward to where I am now so you guys kind of understand. I'm going to make this as quick as possible. So this story begins with when I first played the first Call of Duty ever that I played, which was Call of Duty 2. I think I was like 15, almost 16, and I was in love with Xbox 360, PS3, and just playing Call of Duty by this time when I got introduced to Call of Duty 2. And I used to go to an EB Games. Nowadays, GameStop probably owns the majority of EB Games. I'm pretty sure there's still some EB Games out there, but down here where I'm from, it was EB Games and GameStop. Now it's mostly GameStop. But at this time, I would come home from school. Sometimes I wouldn't even go to my house. I would just walk for about 15-20 minutes to EB Games, and I would hang out there, play Call of Duty 2, play the story mode, sometimes play on private match if there was somebody else there, another kid just playing. And that's what it was. Probably about 3 to 4 times a week, and I would stay like 3-4 hours there right after school. Even the manager and the assistant manager told me, once you turn 16, let us know and we'll get you a job here, because I was so like into gaming and so into video games and playing. I was in love with video games, Eventually, that EB Games got bought by GameStop or taken over by GameStop, and it is still GameStop nowadays. I passed by there plenty times, and it just brings me back to so many memories, so many good memories that I had there when I was such a young kid. When GameStop took over, the manager, the assistant manager, all the co-workers, they were gone. So by the time I turned 16, they weren't there anymore, so I couldn't really get a job there, so that never happened. So fast forward about a year later, I am about 17 years old at the time, and I start getting into the gym. I meet this guy named Alan. He comes from California. We were in freshman class together. I think it was science or something. I don't know what it was, or social studies. And we become like best friends. We become really close friends. Me and him start hanging out, and one day we just decide to start going to the gym. And that's what turned into the next phase of my life. We start working out. And we became obsessed with working out. The games were far behind me. I didn't think about ever playing video games again. I just started doing my thing. I was at a different state of mind. I was in high school. I was a different person in a way. I was still nerdy, but I was doing different things with my life. I was more social. I was hanging out with people, going to parties, throwing parties, working out, the whole thing, the whole Miami life. Until I was 19, I was still working out. And at this time, Alan had already moved back to California. He was living in California. That's kind of where our relationship ended as friends. You know, I still talk to him here and there, but me and him, we're no longer hanging out because he's obviously on the other side of the fucking country. So around this time, I meet a girl, and I meet this girl, and we start dating. When we start dating, she tells me she has to move up north about 7 hours from where we currently live because she was going to university due to scholarships and stuff. To make the long story short, we end up moving together to the university city, and she starts going to the university, and I enroll in a college there. So she's going to university, and I'm going to college, and we're living together. Some way, shape, or form, I start watching YouTube videos. At this time, I'm watching videos like XJaws, I'm watching videos from Hutch, I'm watching videos from a bunch of old school Call of Duty YouTubers. And at this time, Modern Warfare 2 has recently, recently had just come out. I start watching videos on MW2, and I buy myself a PS3, and I start getting hooked on MW2. It came to a point where I was already not even exactly in the relationship. I was just playing video games and video games after school. I'll play video games. The girlfriend that I had at the time was obviously studying because she had a huge, scholarship, and she had to do a bunch of homework and a bunch of shit. And I was focused more on doing my regular college, not as difficult homework, and just playing Call of Duty afterwards. So as I'm playing this and I'm getting so into Call of Duty once again, I make friends online on Xbox 360, and I still remember this one guy by the name of Misunderstood. And I don't even know, his name was Charlie. I don't know what the fuck happened to that guy. I've never seen him ever again. I used to have him on social media. I don't know whatever happened to him. But if he ever watches this video, that'd be dope. What's up, bro? If you're watching this, which you probably aren't, what's up? We make friends, and then he brings another friend with him called King. And this guy was a quick scoper, so he teaches me how to quick scope and snipe, and we start getting into all this sniping, and it was a big, just like a three-man party that we would play every day after school, and it became this kind of like ritual thing that it came to a point where I started putting my relationship to the side and not really caring so much about that relationship, so much that it came to the point where that relationship ended. And this was obviously months later, and I moved back with my parents. It ended on a bad note. My parents had to go pick me up and drive me all the way back down to Miami, like a 7-hour drive. That's how that relationship ended. And at this point, I remember my mom told me she was in a conversation with the girl's mom, and the girl's mom told her, Ray really needs to focus on more important things, not just play video games. What's he gonna do with his life? Tell him to go to college, finish college, and at least get a job, fixing refrigerators. And my mom kind of took that offensively. Like she was like, what the fuck? You don't tell my son to get a job fixing refrigerators. Not that that's any, there's anything wrong with doing that, but you don't tell somebody's kid. You don't tell a mom to tell their son to get a job fixing refrigerators. That's like a low blow, right? So that happened, and that part of my life ended with that girl and that family. And at this time, Black Ops 1 was already out, just recently released. I had moved down in November. Black Ops 1 came out in November. I started playing Black Ops 1. And about halfway through Black Ops 1, I completely stopped playing Call of Duty. And I got back into the gym life and continued working out. And I got so into working out that the games were far behind me again. There was no games. I wasn't playing video games anymore. I was back into the social life, back into the working out. I was even getting ready to compete for the men's physique competition. And everything was cool. Like, I was heavy into the gym again. I was a personal trainer, training people, and life was good. Like, I was young, living life, going to the beach, partying, hanging out with friends. And then I met Rebecca. Okay, a few years later, I was 22, I met Rebecca. So at this time, when I meet Rebecca, we start talking, and I was a personal trainer, and we start hanging out. Eventually, about a month or two, I move in with her and her parents. When I move in with her and her parents, she's still going to college to be a PA, and she's completing her courses, and literally is going to school for about 6 to 8 hours a day. And I'm training my clients for about 3-4 hours a day. I come home, and I have nothing to do with my life, right? So one day, I go into her nephew's room, and he has a PlayStation 3 with a bunch of games. And I remember playing Assassin's Creed and just completely playing the entire storyline. I forgot which Assassin's Creed it was, but I think it was like the second one. And I beat the entire Assassin's Creed. As I'm doing this, I start getting hooked into video games again. So I tell Rebecca for Christmas that I wanted an Xbox. And, well, she literally got me an Xbox. And I didn't think she was going to do it, but she did. She got me an Xbox One when it first came out. Me and her nephew were hooked onto the Xbox One. We're playing Xbox One, Call of Duty Ghosts has just come out. We bought Call of Duty Ghosts. By this time, I was no longer training clients. I was enrolled in college again to become a paramedic. And just obviously because Rebecca was in school and I wanted to go back to school and do the whole school thing. So I was jobless, making no money. Her parents were basically supporting me and her. And I was in school and playing video games with her nephew on the weekends. So eventually I would go to school and I was watching YouTube videos, and I'm watching a bunch of YouTube content creators playing Call of Duty Ghosts and giving tips and tricks and all this stuff. And I tell Rebecca, I want to make a YouTube channel. I tell her, listen, I'm going to school. You're going to school. I get home from school earlier than you. I have nothing to do. So I'm just going to make a YouTube channel and just start making videos for fun. Because when I saw people like other YouTubers do it, I thought it was cool. So I wanted to do the same thing. So that's what I started doing. And she supported it. I honestly think that without Rebecca and her support and her family support, like her mom also helped me a lot, like being positive and stuff, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So she supported that a lot, and I have to thank her for that. So I started doing YouTube and grinding YouTube, and it was just, I was having fun with it. And I just seen my channel grow so rapidly. In 2 months, I hit 1,000 subscribers. That's a good amount of subscribers to hit in 2 months. That's a good milestone. That's a pretty fast milestone. So some time passes by. My channel starts growing. We don't even realize it, but one day out of nowhere, we find out that we are expecting a kid. Rebecca was pregnant with Ryan, so we didn't have room. There was no way we were going to live in her mom's house with a kid and all that stuff. So her brother rents us out his apartment. And in this apartment, we move out. A week into living in that apartment, Rebecca goes into labor and Ryan is born. There was a closet in that apartment that I made into my gaming closet room, which you guys should recall if you've been watching this channel for a long time now. And I started making my videos out of that closet. So months pass by, Ryan's getting older. Rebecca's still going to school. I'm still making YouTube videos. I'm already working as an EMT, almost paramedic. I'm almost done with paramedic school. And I hit 200,000 subscribers. At this time, I was having a lot of issues at work. My boss was being a dick. There was this new guy that I was working with. He fired him. And he was just being a dick all around. When I was working, I was seeing a lot of old people die, a lot of diseases, just a very sad and infectious field that it's not really for everybody. I thought it was for everybody, but it wasn't for me. At around 200,000 subscribers, my videos are doing really well because I had a viral video. So my channel overall is doing really well and growing really fast. So I decided to make a video called I Quit. And in this video, I explained that I was going to quit my job and I was going to decide to do a YouTube full time. That's exactly what I did. I will admit, I look back at it now, 200,000 subscribers, nowhere near enough subscribers to quit your job. If I would go back and kind of be in the same, position, I probably wouldn't have done it. I probably would have thought it was going to be a stupid decision, but I took the risk and it paid off. Ever since then, my channel's been growing really well and just continue to blossom as a channel, as a Call of Duty content creator. More fans and more fans has come into the channel, and I think it paid off. I took the risk and it paid off. So fast forward about a year later, we decide to leave her brother's apartment and get a house of our own. At this point in time, we're making enough income to actually afford a house. So we buy a house, which is the house that we live in now that you watch my videos. And we buy this house and then we expect another baby. So that's, obviously a year later after that, Ruby was born and we continue to live here. And I've been continuing to make videos and continue to grind YouTube. And now I have a second channel, which the link will be down in the description. Now I look at myself and I see all these things that I have, and I can provide for my family, which is the most important thing for me. I live happy. I do something that I truly love, like I do YouTube, and I love it every single day. Even if I wasn't making income, I'd probably still just do it for fun. Obviously, I probably wouldn't do it every day because I'd have to work at a full-time job to obviously pay the bills, to pay the light bill at least, to fucking make videos. But it is something that I really do enjoy doing. It all started from me being a nerd, playing Call of Duty, playing video games. I feel like my life took me away from the video game scene, made me experience life like a regular teenager, working out, hanging out, going to parties, throwing parties, socializing, and then put me back in the video game scene, and then kind of took me back out after that breakup. I had to experience the whole young, 20s experience again and partying and doing my thing again, and then life brought me back to video games by meeting Rebecca and starting YouTube and obviously turning something that was essentially something that I loved doing, which was playing video games, turning it into some type of career where I can now sit here behind a microphone and tell you guys that I make gameplay videos of games for a living. And not only do I have one channel, but now I have 2 channels. And that goes to show you that if you currently play games and you currently have a passion for playing games, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be a failure. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to be shit in life. If you're young, play games, enjoy yourself. Obviously, just weigh out, you know, the pros and cons. Maybe I was a little bit too obsessed, but it doesn't necessarily, you know, mean that you're going to fail in life. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're a nerd, that you're a no-life, that you're a piece of shit. So if you do get labeled that, you know, just don't even fucking mind that. A lot of the times, if I tell anybody that I play video games and that's how I make my living, people won't believe me, okay? And the funny thing is that now that I do it, people actually want to know more about it. But back then, people would just judge me and just tell me, oh, this guy, all he does is play video games. Like, get a fucking life. But now it's the opposite, because people see that I actually make something off of it, you know, off of something that I enjoy doing, off of something that the majority of people out there would love to fucking sit their asses on a chair and play video games for a living. And it all started with something that I truly loved, which was video games, Call of Duty, playing and just making fun videos. I guess the moral of the story is that no matter what you're doing in life, if you love doing what you're doing, stick to it. Obviously, you gotta make sure you weigh your pros and cons. If you love video games and you want to do something with video games, chase it. If you're gonna participate in the race, make sure you finish the fucking race. Let's say you want to be a YouTuber. It may seem impossible. It's not impossible. I thought it was, but Rebecca kept pushing me. And the same thing goes for every single Call of Duty YouTuber out there. Every single Call of Duty YouTuber will tell you the same thing. At one point, they thought their channel was never going to grow unless they were fucking PewDiePie or something. And it did. See, when I was young, I thought that life was just for the lucky people. Like, you get lucky, you land a good job, you make good money, and it's not. People are not lucky. There is no such thing as luck. If you work hard and life sees that you're working and striving for something, life will give you luck. And that is what luck is. Luck comes from all the hard work and dedication you put onto something that you truly love. And God will, you know, God and life will grant you that. That's how kind of I became a YouTuber. That's all, you know, kind of like how I started with Call of Duty, and how Call of Duty eventually changed my life. You know, Call of Duty was in my life, out of my life, back in my life, out of my life, and then back in my life, and now it's here, and I think it's here to stay, because this is what I do every single day. This is my story, man. This is literally how I became a Call of Duty YouTuber, how I started playing Call of Duty and fell in love with it, and how I do this full time. And I want you guys to know that nothing in life is impossible. I used to think that I was never gonna land a good job. I was 22. I had not finished college. I was broke, literally broke as fuck. I had nothing going for myself. All I could land was probably a job at a warehouse, which I had plenty of those. And that was pretty much it, because I had no education. And I just want you guys to know that if it happened to me, it could definitely happen to you, because I'm nobody special. I'm just like you. So no, don't ever doubt yourself, and don't let yourself being labeled make you feel any different. I hope you guys enjoyed my story, and I hope it inspired some of you guys. And just remember to never let the chase discourage you from winning the race. Thank you for watching.